Speedbird 851, turn right heading 180. Order 14 Papa, turn right 245, report localizer established 27.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my first trip report in many months. Today I'll be covering my journey from Sydney to Avalon on board the Qantas 747 drought relief flight. I'm very honoured to be a part of this flight as there were only 150 tickets available, even though the 747 can hold more. It was very much an exclusive flight and a very, very enjoyable one. I'm not too experienced when it comes to trip reports, they really aren't my forte. But of course, I'm going to do my absolute best to make this as enjoyable for you as possible. I do hope you all enjoy this video. The day essentially started off in the Qantas lounge with our special guest, Michael Usher of 7 News. He was absolutely incredible. His position for at least the morning was to hold a number of auctions for very special pieces of 747s and more. Just going off memory, there are things like the first class tray table, a old phone, and a whole lot more, including a business class trip to Bali, of course with Qantas. This was all for the drought relief. Qantas have held multiple flights now for drought relief. It's got to do with our Australian farmers to help them keep going during our tough summer conditions. The Qantas domestic terminal is quite long and it is quite a hike if you're going from one end to the other. However, ultimately it is really, really nice. And there's markings all throughout the terminal, easily directing you to whatever gate you need to head to. Now, if you're unaware, I do have a severe peanut allergy. There's many downsides that come with that, including not being able to travel with many airlines, which is probably why you don't see many trip reports on here. That, and also because of just how expensive it is to fly within Australia. Luckily, I can fly with Qantas, and because of this severe peanut allergy, really the only good thing that comes from it is priority boarding, which means I'm essentially one of the first to board before business and anyone else because I have to wipe down the tray table and seat because you don't know if the cleaners have cleaned it, and really, it's the best thing about it because I get to go on first, put my bags away in the locker, and get comfortable before everyone else comes on. So, the boarding process was very exciting as I was in fact the first person on the Boeing 747. I was held up so I got to look at everything like the one world and it was pretty incredible. If you didn't know, I am a huge aviation enthusiast and it's always been a dream of mine to fly on the Queen of the Skies before they are retired. So getting to experience a 747 on a domestic service as special as this one was pretty incredible. So as I boarded the aircraft, we went through the cabin. Now, this flight, of course, wasn't sold out, as I mentioned earlier. There were really only 150 seats taken, so there are a lot of empty spots. Here you can see economy, and we've just passed the likes of premium economy. I will show you business class later on in the flight. Only some business class seats were taken. Anyway, this is my seat for the day. It's going to be pretty incredible. Now, if you've actually been following me on Twitter, you may know that I actually got put in an aisle seat. This is despite me requesting a window seat when I booked the flight. So I did some talking and I was very, very lucky to get put in a window seat for both journeys, but I only did a trip report for this one as I was absolutely knackered on the way back, and it really just wasn't the same. Now, what you just saw before was the complimentary Qantas hat that we were given. What's on your screen now is the Boeing 747-400 safety card. Now, something very interesting is that this has the new Qantas logo on it, whereas the seat I came back on had the old Qantas design on it. Feel free to pause now if you just want to have a look at the safety card. We were also given a goodie bag with a bottle of water and some other goodies in there as well. I will do a close-up later on so you can see exactly what snacks we were given. I was sitting over the wing. I was originally seated right at the back of the plane in an aisle seat, but I was really, really happy with this view, as it meant, of course, I would get to see out the window. Just by looking through the cabin and panning across, you can see how dated it is in comparison to the 787. We were departing, of course, during a beautiful sunrise, and here's just a little glimpse of it. Now, in regards to legroom, I obviously had quite a lot and had 2 empty seats next to me, so it really was the perfect flight. But overall, the seat was really, really comfortable, and I could actually see myself sitting 17 hours in that over the 787 seat. Pushback was around 10 minutes late, but the crew were really good throughout, giving really happy and positive announcements. It is worth mentioning that all this crew were volunteer, they were on annual leave or on just a break, or weren't scheduled for a flight that day, and came down to Avalon for the day to help us out and really just have a good time. And what I really enjoyed about the day was that interaction with the crew that you don't usually get in, say, another flight to London or regular economy. The best comparison I can put to it is business class, but the people are just as enthusiastic as you because you're headed to the Avalon Air Show. Anyway, now of course you can see we are pushing back, so I'm going to head off and I'll rejoin you after takeoff to go through all the other classes, the light morning snack, and a whole lot more. And welcome back. Shortly after takeoff, we were given a map of the Avalon Air Show, including various points where to meet up. As you can see, lunch at 1 PM and then a 4 PM meetup to head back to VH-OJU, which was the actual registration of the flight. And here's finally all the snacks we were given. I didn't really have any of these except the bottle of water, as I wasn't feeling too hungry, and you'll see why now. That is because we were given some delicious banana bread and some caramelized coconut chocolate, which I didn't have. In addition, we were given this Avalon 2019 Drought Relief Coaster, or I don't really know what it's called. One of the many benefits of having a flight with only 150 people on it was that the cabin was free to roam around, especially in the higher classes like premium, economy, and business class. This is something which would usually be full. Because it was so empty, it presented the perfect opportunity to take a roam around and have multiple different photo opportunities. I also went inside the galley to have a look at all the really old features of the 747 interior. The 747 is a double-decker, not quite a full one like the A380, but it still does have those stairs. However, sadly, we were not allowed to go up the stairs for photo opportunities. What you've all been probably waiting for, this is the business class on the Boeing 747. It also is the business class on the Airbus A380. It is essentially 3 generations old now, as there is a new one and then a newer one, which features on the 787. The Airbus A330s have the middle business class, while these are the oldest ones. They still are fully flatbed seats and are quite comfortable, as I experienced this on the A380, but of course with the newer technology and the newer seats, it is a lot more comfortable. In addition, here you have a seatmate who could be a stranger. It may be a little bit awkward for you. Because this is a special flight, one of the awesome things were the constant announcements from the crew telling you where we were. I just happened to be walking around when they said, go to the right hand side of the airplane, look down and you will see Canberra. Roaming around the cabin also allowed us to get some absolutely excellent views of the engines and the 747 wing, something of course you wouldn't usually be able to do on any other commercial flight because you would have people sitting in those seats. But being able to roam around really made the experience that little bit more enjoyable, as I got various different views and lots of pictures. I have posted some already over on my Twitter and Instagram. Once again, I'm going to take you on a little walk of the cabin. We start at the first section of the business class on the 747. This is right up towards the nose, and as we move down there is another section of business class, and then following this you'll briefly see premium economy. The premium economy configuration is 242 if you were wondering, whereas the business class is 222. We were given a very nice Qantas pin. I of course took another one for my mum, who is a huge 747 enthusiast. Something else that was really sad, as you could see, were the multiple fires burning throughout Victoria, of course my home state. We shortly were passing over the city of Melbourne. Of course, usually at this time, if we were flying into Melbourne, we would be a lot lower, but we were higher. Now, one of the beautiful things about this flight was going to be the epic low pass over the Avalon air show. However, from the aircraft, it wasn't too exciting, and I'm not even going to show it because my camera went out of focus over the low pass and you could not see anything. In fact, I think it was a lot more incredible for the people probably on the ground. That being said, it was awesome to say that I did a low pass on a 747. The approach was absolutely spectacular, and I'm going to be quiet now and get back to you right at the end of the trip report to give my overall thoughts. That being said, thanks very much for tuning in and enjoy the landing. The flight was only an hour long, and I don't really have any words to describe it other than epic. It was an experience I'm never going to forget, and something that was truly memorable. Flying on a Qantas 747 or even a 747 within your own country domestically for just 1 hour, and having a low pass, a special lunch, and really having a rockstar welcome into the Australian International Airshow is really, really awesome, and it was all for a brilliant cause. Of course, that cause is drought relief. We ended up raising $138,000 on that flight alone for drought relief. That automatically makes this flight the most successful one Qantas has ever run. If you didn't know, flights were $774. That includes the ticket price for the Avalon Airshow, that includes a lunch, special guests, and a whole lot more. That being said, thank you so much, Qantas, for putting on this flight, and one that so many aviation enthusiasts, including myself, will never forget. I can now finally say that I have flown on a 747, and while it may only be an hour, and there wasn't really too much to show you in this trip report, I do hope you all enjoyed coming with me on board this flight. At the end of the day, none of what you're seeing now would be possible without all your incredible support, constantly watching my videos, the sponsors who have sponsored some of the videos and enabled me to do this sort of things. But as I keep saying, the year is only just starting and a lot more fun is to come. So thank you very much.
Race all of these broken dreams in flight, and we'll fly.